Sagittarius, welcome to 2024, the month of January. It's going to improve your life when it comes to your finances, maybe steadying some things in your home, and also maybe providing some health and work opportunities. I want you to listen today for your sun sign, moon sign, and rising, but know that your rising sign is probably more accurate. The sun can be about your purpose in your career and your father figures, and your moon can be about your mother, home, and nest and safety needs, as well as your body. So try all three, see how that goes for you. So here we have a month of January in which we have some major events going on that are both mostly positive. I'm really excited to talk about the goodness of the month of January. Now let's start off with the chronology of the month and the major events, and then we'll go into the idea of the transit changes and houses of Venus and Mercury at the very end of this particular time together, 15 minutes or so. So first of all, one of the things I want to make you aware of is that you're going to experience on around middle of January, the rising of Mars in your second house. Mars does go into the sign of Capricorn, your whole sign second house, right? And by the way, if you're new to my channel, my name is Lori Lothian, Western Tropical Zodiac Astrologer using whole sign houses and fixed start of a promotion that comes to an end at the end of January. Get my 2024 All Signs videos. Those videos are 90 minutes each, almost 75 to 90, depending on the sign. And you can buy the bundle for only $59 or a la carte below. That sale price will be gone by the end of January. Listen for your sun, moon, rising. Share it with friends and family. Give it away. Make it a party. Share that 12 hidden links document PDF that you get when you buy the product. All right, and it helps me grow my channel. Helps me provide myself mic, new computers, and staff to help me out with things like timestamps. Okay, so let's get going and talk again about you. So Mars is rising basically around the January 11th timeframe at 5 Capricorn into the visible sky, allowing for you to experience a blessing in your earnings and money story. Now, it's your resources, your money, your earnings, your food style, really good for getting rid of addictions, also doing facial surgery or rejuvenation or dental work and all of that kind of stuff. When? Well, not just in January, but over the 2 years that follow. So this January 11th, add 2 years. This is an area of great success. So I'm giving you some really good news. I'm going to be doing a really deep dive about that video, about the heliacal rise of Mars in Capricorn for all signs. So you might want to subscribe or like or hit that notification bell so you don't miss that really, really important video. But for now, just know that that's happening. And it's very positive. And I want to give you the good news first because it is a money house for you. But let's talk about the chronology and break it down step by step as this month unfolds. Alrighty? So the first thing I want you to be aware of is that Saturn will square, or Venus will square Saturn at the beginning of the month, making it feel a little gnarly around New Year's Eve day, like New Year's Eve, the day before even, and then the day after New Year's Eve. Saturn square Venus is like love is hard, money is hard. I have to struggle to, endure in some friendship or situation with joy or pleasure. That kind of vibe is not always the easiest. This is happening with Venus at the time in the beginning of the month, moving through the sign of Sagittarius at this point, squaring Saturn, who's sitting in the sign of Pisces. Now, honestly, the energy of that combination could be about you, because Venus is in the sign of you, Sagittarian, sun, moon, and rising folk. And it could be about you in some sort of difficult energy with somebody you live with in your home, because Saturn is in the home or the bottom of the sky where your domestic private life is. And so you may be having some kind of hardship regarding friendliness, kindness, and love with someone in your home. And there may be a struggle around enjoyment with that time frame. So don't plan for a home-based New Year's Eve, or try to find a way to get out of the house, or mix it up, something like that. But it's a small and short-lived transit. This hardship home, you not really vibing with it. You want to have fun. You want to have pleasure. You got Venus in the house of you. You even want to have adventures, but somehow something's not quite gelling for you, and you're feeling a little gnarly around New Year's Eve. Then, as we move forward, we're going to come into a time around the 8th to the 15th of January, that whole time, 8 to 15, where you're going to come into what we call a mini grand trine, which is very positive. And you're going to see another version of it later in the month. So, this is going to be an energy of Mars. Well, he's moving through Capricorn, flowing to Jupiter in the sign of Taurus. Now, Jupiter is going to be direct, which is the very good news about January, that's starting on December 30th. So, all of January, we finally have Jupiter direct. I should have mentioned that. And this is an area of your sky, the Taurus real estate, where all of the good things are starting to finally move forward after maybe being held up, stalled, or just slowed down starting in September through to December 30th. And now it's work, health, pets, tenancy and rental agreements, debt relief, moving forward in the month of January. But it is going to be around the 8th to the 15th that you see Mars participating with that Jupiter in a trine. And that means Mars says, let's get that raise, let's get that promotion, let's get that new job, let's increase our earnings, let's get success in something to do with work and money stories, livelihood and money stories. But it can also work for your health, because where Mars is traveling, your second house is what you put in your mouth, what you ingest. And Jupiter is in the house of sickness. So you guys can definitely do a reset button on dietary health matters, or drinking or smoking or anything that's not good for you. Maybe through Jupiter, a guide, a teacher, or an educational course. But you can definitely go in that direction. Dry Jan, the 8th to the 15th. At the same time this is happening, Mars is opening up a sextile to Saturn, and that makes this thing called a mini grand trine, pointing at your fourth house. Now, this can bring you some very positive developments for getting a pet to bring home, getting a new release or rental contract to rent your property out or rent someone else's property. This can also be good for renovations or construction or building plans in the home being initiated, or spending money for something you need in the home that strengthens your work. So, maybe building a home office or creating a new quiet space if you work from home, that kind of thing. Or even just a downline space that you need after your day-to-day work schedule, where you can kind of unwind. And this kind of smooths out any tension you might have been having when Venus squared Saturn and New Year's Eve, with that Mars and Venus eventually moving in to a flow to Saturn. Those things will improve as the month goes on. Then we have on the dates 20th, 21st of the month, right? Depends on where you live. The anaretic degree conjunction of the Sun and Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Now, you've been having a Sun-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn since 2008. That's nothing particularly new on the yearly. But what's particularly exciting about this, it's completing something. It's culminating. It's coming to a grand finale. It's your last Pluto-Sun conjunction in the sign of Capricorn. And it's ending a longer cycle that fully completes at the end of 2024 about authentic power, empowerment, and wealth, resources, and self-worth, self-values that you hold dear or don't hold dear. Your values, your worth, your self-worth, your earnings, your possessions, and things to do with your food style have changed dramatically ever since 2028. And been deeply transformed. And hopefully some of that brought you more significant prosperity, but it would be all about what power and wealth mean to you. Now, this last conjunction on the 21st is at 29 degrees. It's anaretic. It could also look like a completion in a job, a completion in a work setting, a completion of a purpose that you no longer want to align with. And then, of course, Pluto will move on the 22nd or so, 21st, 22nd, depends on your time zone, into the sign of Aquarius. And that's going to bring you the beginning of a new story, all about that third house, power and transformation around neighbors, neighborhood, writing projects, communication, online social media, sibling relationships, extended family involving cousins. All of that becomes deeply transformed over the next 20 years, all the way to 2043. And the first blush of that is really beginning to build in 2024, starting on the 22nd of January. I want you to go back maybe to last year. It would be like March the 23rd to June 11th, when Pluto was at 0 degrees of Aquarius and gave you a teaser of what is coming up in the stories for you. Obviously, a sun, moon, or rising sign Sagittarius in the first 5 degrees of Sagittarius will feel this the most strongly in 2024, 2025, and 2026, where the later born Sagittarius will feel this Plutonian transit through your third house later, more intensely later on. This is going to definitely be a positive experience because it sextiles you, but I don't want to worry you, but it can be dramatic changes in this area, including sibling relationships having some dramatic change as well. Now, conflict, crisis, and change, right? Of neighborhood, neighbors, sibling relationships. And so just be aware of that as well. As we move forward, we get into the next narrative, and that is a story of brain come back online, Jupiter in a refrainment type of sextile to Saturn between the 24th and the 31st. A lot of astrologers are counting this. I'm not sure I want to. They don't really perfect the sextile. So this means that sometime between the 25th and the end of January into February, actually, there's a loose connection between Saturn, who's in Pisces, your 4th house, and Jupiter in your 6th house. And it could be things like, third week of January into February, you're trying to negotiate a breeder to buy a pet, or you're trying to get your landlord to let you have a pet come into the home. You're trying to find a new home to rent. You're trying to find some new financing for a home. You're trying to open up a possibility of a new work situation connected to being really close to home. And things just don't seem to gel. Like they're just not quite coming together. So you might experience that as a close but not quite, a golden promise that doesn't quite materialize. Just be aware of that. A little bit of sense of you may be wistful wanting it to happen, but it doesn't quite happen after all. Now, everything is going to work for the best anyway. So if something like that does fall apart or does not come to fruition, not to worry. And then on the 25th to the 28th of the month of December, we have a conjunction between Mars and Saturn, Mars and Mercury, that are squaring the nodes of fate in Libra and Capricorn. So that makes it a very destined energy, but also a very intense one. Now, Mars is in his great dignity in the sign of Capricorn. We call it his exaltation, which is why your money story is going to improve over the 2 years, January 11th onward. So it's exalting your money. You can also quit things, end your jobs, spend differently, cut your spending, that kind of thing. Or spend a lot, but you're going to prosper from it. But it's Mars sitting here with Mercury, and the two of them together are like news and information that you want to take bold action on. I'm going to give you the dates again, the 25th to the 28th of December, or some idea that you want to execute, or something you really want to Mercury sell or buy, second house possessions, and Mars taking dramatic, bold executive action or passionately engaging the idea of buying something. And because there is this connection between Saturn and the house of property and real estate, some of you are looking at buying or renting, and a lot of intensity could be coming up around the home life, around buying or renting a home as a result of this energy between the 25th and the 28th. At the same time, with a square to the nodes of fate going through your 5th and 11th house, a lot of this is destined for you. You don't have to something is trying to crunchy happen, and there might be some pressure, and some of the energies could be some pressure from situations with your children, your romantic partners, or your entrepreneurial business. These are 5th house matters where the North Node is sitting there, and maybe it's even crunchy things to do with your children and having to look at some financing for one of your children, or helping your children financially, or something like that. And with the South Node in your 11th house of friends and allies, there may be some disappointment intensity around somebody who was going to support you, an elder sibling, or maybe some friend who was going to give you some kind of financial allyship, and it kind of falls apart a bit, or it's just coming to a crucible of need to take action or make it happen. Again, the 25th to the 28th of December. Now, at the same time this is happening, it's also including Mercury in a very light but gets more intense flow called a trine to Uranus. And that's the good news, because it's almost like the intensity and the tension gives way to 28th, 29th, the end of the month into the 30th, some kind of surprise in it's all the surprise is the trine to Uranus, who sits with Jupiter in the house of pets, the house of work, the house of health, the house of debts and debt removals, the house of tenancies and rentals. And so something could really just break through for you, despite what looks like a critical bit of frustration from the 25th to the 28th. By the 29th or so, it's going to all seemingly delight you with a surprise of some kind, although those two stories may not necessarily be directly connected. They may be. And then we move forward to the 27th to the 28th to the 29th. It's that whole 27th to the 29th. Remember that grand trine I mentioned earlier that happens on the 8th through the 15th, the mini grand trine? It's back. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's just waiting for Venus to seal the deal and do what already happened with Mars earlier in the month. Venus is now going to be pivoting through the sign of Capricorn, and she starts to get there. We'll go into that a bit later, around January 23rd. And then by the time we get to the 27th, she forms a flow to Jupiter, who's sitting in your sixth house. And so he's around 6 degrees. He's moving direct. She's at 6 degrees of your second house. Wonderful for financial wellness, to do with work opportunities, to do financial wellness, to do with rentals, pets, and tenancies, financial wellness with an opportunity to maybe buy something that really supports a better wellness in your life, or to really nail a new food style that you enjoy that brings greater health. But also that energy can be something to do with and work opportunity. So you could use this energy to, at the end of the month, the 27th to 29th, to make sure you get your job application and make sure that your resume is updated, make sure that you are, ask for the raise or promotion that you might want in your workspace, especially with Lord Mercury hanging out in your second house as ruler of your 10th during this time. It's the same story. It is time for you to consider possibly, up-leveling financially if you have a work, job, career story in your life. Otherwise, this can also look like just being able to acquire some more financial goodness in an unexpected and exciting way, full of Jupiter's bounty and surprises from Uranus. Someone could pay you a debt that they owed you money and you thought you'd never get it back, and all of a sudden the money returns to you, as an example. This again will be happening later in the month. Now, because 27 to 29, but because Venus is also in a flow to Saturn in the fourth house of home, property, and real estate, there could be some good news about the health of an elder relative from your family of origin coming through. There could be some kind of really beautiful opportunity to purchase, sell, buy, or rent a new home. There could be some opportunity to do some kind of purchase of an object for your home that's a beautiful, luxurious, and refined. Venus and Capricorn with Mercury, who loves to buy and sell, hanging out there as well. And you might just get that perfect purchase that you want to land in your home, or a new car for work, or a new car for your home as well. These things are possible. And then we move on to the end of the month. I already mentioned that delightful 28th, 29th, 30th. Yay! Surprise as Mercury trines Uranus. And it looks like a money surprise, a work surprise, a pet surprise, or a tenancy surprise. Now let's talk about the big stories here. I told you Jupiter went direct at the beginning of the year, like December 30th. He'll be there until the end of May almost. That's going to be Jupiter in your sixth house. You coming through a period of time that started last May, a bit greater success with health, with work, with tenancies and rentals, with pet situations. And that continues to be true until the third week of May. But you get that new fresh momentum in January and get Jupiter hooked up in some mini grand trines to make it sweeter. Second of all, I also mentioned that Mars is going to rise, praise the Lord, in your second house and give you greater income over the next 2 years. But let's talk about Mercury and Venus, because there's a really sweet spot between the two of them. And I want you to nail this time for yourself. First of all, Mercury is moving direct on the 22nd degree of Sagittarius on January 2nd, after having been retrograde for 3 weeks. This gives your Sagittarius real estate, a actual focus to move forward. So you may have been changing your mind, waffling, going back and rethinking your plans, rethinking some ideas, rethinking some projects, and you were going back for 3 weeks in that, back pedal. And now you're going forward on January 2nd in the house of you with Mercury in your sign. So you can be more decisive and more bring your new ideas into action. You could, if you change your mind, change it again, or, going in a new direction with ideas and the way you think and what you wish to message into the world. So he's in that part of your sky that's all about you. And he's with Venus there as well. She entered into Sagittarius on the 29th of December and will be there until January 23rd. So there's something going on here. But when you have Mercury on January 2nd in the house of you until January 13th, and Venus accompanying him at the same time. So I would say to you, use that January 2nd. Well, he's there direct. You want him direct. January 2nd to January 13th, combo of Venus and Mercury in your first house for new wardrobes, new makeup, new hair, being persuasive, charismatic. It's like the madman, admin kind of energy when the two of them are together, especially with Mercury and Sag, which he can like completely, cast a spell of charm and maybe even confabulate to get what you want. So it's really good to like, write the resume from heaven, to write an application, job application that you can convince people to, do whatever you want. You can get what you want. You have a charm offensive. You're likable, congenial. People are attracted to you. It's good for public speaking. It's good for motivational speaking. It's good for, doing things in which you want people to say yes to you. And again, that vibe for you is really strong between January 2nd and January 13th. Mercury is direct in your sign of you with Venus co-present. Then Mercury will move into Capricorn and start to drill up some excitement for you on January 13th to February 4th about new ideas for savings and spending and earnings, maybe even helping you buy or sell things that you really need in a very safe and refined way. And also enhancing your ability to speak and communicate effectively about things you need to speak and communicate about. That's going to be all in play until February 4th and starts on January 13th. Now, it's interesting to watch what Venus does with this. She joins in on January the 22nd. And when she gets there, you can see that January 23rd, I should say, between January 23rd, okay, and February 4th, you have both Venus and Mercury together in your second house. That's great for buying that luxury item, that refined product that you really wanted, that super beautiful object that you think you really need. But it's also a glow up for your income and finances because Venus is a goddess of money in a money house. Mercury wants to negotiate a contract, a deal, wants to persuade people you're the one to hire, wants to market and message himself with Venus, making you very appealing. And you got Mars rising there as well, making you extra specially successful. So again, what could you do with that January the 23rd to February 4th? As I said, buy things, sell things, apply for a job, speak strongly about what you want in this world and have people charmed by your powerful speech and passion behind it. And you can definitely eliminate things that cause you to feel ill or sick that you ingest because Mars is cutting there, ending and severing. It's like a food elimination diet. And you have Venus who's making it not that hard. She's kind of saying, well, let's have pleasures that are sensible and that are, give us a better long lasting health result as she is an enduring, sensible and resourceful Capricorn. All right. So hopefully those stories are useful for you. And don't forget that Pluto coming into your Aquarius realm of your third house is going to transform all matters third house. I do have a PDF document, the meanings of the 12 houses down below. Why don't you grab that? I should tell everyone to do that. It's a freebie. You can get it in my description box so you can read all about your third house. Finally, if you've made it this far with me, Sagittarius, I do have one more promotion. If you want to join my Patreon community, they get all this content, early access, ad-free before the general public, and they get all kinds of classes and Zoom meetings with me. I'm offering this to you until the end of January because you're listening to this video, right? It's just for people who are listening to this video. You join for $5, the lowest tier. If you quit after that, it's a $5 investment. And you're getting 3 free classes with me. Chiron, the Key to Purpose, my Synastry class for Are You My Person Relationship Astrology. Those are already taught. You get the replays. And the third thing I'm gifting you guys is access to my live Chiron class at the end of January for life cycles, but you can also get the replay should you not be able to attend live. Those courses are over $99 of value, and you're getting them for nothing, just for trying out my Patreon, because I think this is a great ethical bribe. And I don't care if you quit and leave. I just want you to give me a try. All right. Thanks, Sagittarius. Enjoy January of 2023. Please like this video and subscribe and hit that notification bell, especially liking it. But the better, more people who watch my channel regularly, who subscribe, the better my YouTube algorithm. Thank you so very, very much.